A gag stifled his cries. With a wicked gleam in my eyes, I then attached electrical cables to him, ensuring he was at my mercy. My name is Lisa and I'm 45 years old. Dawns over my quaint little town nestled in the heart of Midwest America. I find myself compelled to share my tale. Being born an identical twin was both a blessing and a curse. Jennifer and I had this bond, this connection that no one else could understand. We shared secrets, whispered in the dark, and laughed at our own private jokes. One day, when we were 13, we came up with a mischievous idea. We'd switch names, wear each other's clothes, and see if anyone could tell the difference. The first day was exhilarating. Our friends, teachers, and even our parents were all fooled. We reveled in our secret, feeling invincible. By the second day, the thrill intensified. It was our secret game, and the world was none the wiser. But on the third day, tragedy struck. Jennifer and I were making our way home along the main road through the town when the deafening sound of gunshots echoed through the air. I had gone into a candy store, but she, alone on the street, found herself inadvertently caught in the chaotic crossfire of a violent bank robbery. A stray bullet, with no name or intent, pierced her skull and she crumpled to the ground, life fleeing from her in that very instant. She died right there amidst the screams and panic, her blood staining the very clothes that identified her as me. The people in the village were told that Lisa died that day, but I was right there screaming the truth. I'm Lisa. I tried to explain our game to everyone to make them see, but my pleas fell on deaf ears. The police, without modern tools like fingerprinting, didn't trust me. My friends didn't believe we could have tricked them, and my parents just thought I was traumatized, clinging to Lisa's identity to cope with the loss. A week of this torment passed, and nothing I could say would convince anyone that I was Lisa and Jennifer had died. The worst thing about it was everyone kept calling me Jennifer. I knew that my parents were planning to send me to a psychiatric hospital, so a crazy thought occurred to me. Maybe it would just be easier for everyone if I told them I was Jennifer. So one evening, seeking solace, I approached my mother and decided to tell her a lie that would change everything. "Mom," I whispered, tears in my eyes, "I'm sorry. It was Lisa who died that day." She hugged me close, but her words were a dagger to my heart. "I shouldn't say this, but I'm glad it was Lisa," she murmured. "You were always my favorite, Jennifer." Her words broke something inside me. The pain, the betrayal, it was too much. I realized that to find peace, I had to let Lisa go. But things weren't quite so simple. I tried to embrace my life as Jennifer, but in the silent moments, a voice inside me kept whispering a painful truth. "You're not Jennifer. You're Lisa, and you can't get rid of me." Time passed, but the trauma of that fateful day never left me. My friends began to distance themselves, avoiding me in the streets and at school. The townsfolk would give me strange, pitiful looks, whispering behind hushed tones whenever I passed. Even my parents, with their wary eyes and hesitant touches, seemed to distrust the daughter standing before them. As I grew older, the line between Lisa and Jennifer blurred. The cruelty of my mother's words, the loss of my twin, and the world's refusal to see the truth created a chasm inside me. My obsession with identical twins began when I chanced upon a pair at a local fair. Their striking resemblance to Jennifer and me was uncanny. I'd watched them, a mix of envy and fascination in my heart. They represented a life I once had, a bond I deeply missed. I started attending events, gatherings, and places I knew twins would be, just to be close to that familiar bond. At first, I just observed, taking in their interactions, their shared laughter and their secrets. But soon I began to play little tricks on them, like swapping their belongings when they weren't looking, just to see if they'd notice. It was a game to me, a way to relive the past. However, as the years went by, my games grew darker. My anger at the world's indifference to my pain began to manifest in cruel ways. I spread malicious rumors about one twin having premarital sex, which resulted in her being shunned by her community. I sent anonymous letters filled with hurtful lies to the family of another set of twins, causing rifts and mistrust between them. One particular act involved convincing one twin, Sarah, that her sister was secretly in love with her husband. I'd leave notes, create situations, and manipulate events to fuel her paranoia. Watching the bond between them strain and eventually break, seeing the confusion and hurt in their eyes, gave me a twisted sense of satisfaction, as if their pain somehow validated my own. But as the years went by, the simple tricks weren't enough. The voice inside me, Lisa's voice, grew louder, more demanding. "Make them see," it whispered. "Make them feel our pain." One chilling autumn night, I enticed a twin named Rebecca to a secluded forest clearing, promising her a secret gathering of twins where they shared unique experiences. The clearing was surrounded by tall, shadowy trees, and the only light came from a flickering campfire I had prepared. We sat down, and I gave her a drink which I had laced with nightshade. After a few minutes, she began to drift off. I tied Rebecca to a nearby tree, ensuring she couldn't escape. When she awoke, I presented her with a series of harrowing choices, each more cruel than the last, all designed to test her loyalty to her own twin. The culmination was forcing her to choose between her own life and her twins, using a concoction I claimed would poison her sister if she didn't drink it herself. The mental anguish combined with the physical constraints proved too much for Rebecca. By dawn, the weight of her choices and the cold night air had drained the life from her. My intention was only to make her feel the depth of betrayal and isolation I had experienced, but the outcome was far more tragic than I had anticipated. After the unnerving event with Rebecca, my hunger for retribution intensified. I had known the twins, Elijah and Jacob, for over a year. As they were both somewhat attracted to me, they became my next prey. Using a seductive note, I lured Elijah to a recently abandoned house I had found on the outskirts of town, hinting at a night of sexual pleasures. Upon his arrival, I swiftly seduced him. Before he could comprehend the situation, he was handcuffed, his limbs bound to a chair, rendering him immobile. A gag stifled his cries. With a wicked gleam in my eyes, I then attached electrical cables to him, ensuring he was at my mercy. Simultaneously, I had dispatched a similar enticing message to Elijah's twin, Jacob, orchestrating his arrival a few hours later. It was now dark, and as Jacob stepped onto the porch, I ambushed him, striking him hard with a wooden club. To guarantee his incapacitation, I also held a handkerchief laced with chloroform over his face. Once he was subdued, I positioned Jacob directly across from his twin, tying him up, ensuring he would witness the impending horror. As Jacob's senses returned, his gaze locked onto Elijah's, his eyes filled with terror and confusion. Without revealing my presence, I began to send jolts of electricity through Elijah. Each shock caused him to jerk violently, his eyes filled with pain and desperation. All the while, Jacob, paralyzed with fear, could only watch, tears streaming, unable to shout or intervene. Ensuring I remained a shadowy figure behind Jacob, I continued my torment. With a final malevolent surge, I sent a shock so potent through Elijah that his body went limp, life extinguished. The sight of his twin's demise was too much for Jacob, who fainted from the sheer horror. My infamy as the twin terror deepened, each act a grim reminder of the world's indifference to my anguish and Jennifer's memory. Word of my crime spread, but I didn't care. Each act was a scream to the world, a demand for recognition. I wanted them to see Jennifer in every tear, every drop of blood. One night, as I prepared for my next gruesome act, I felt a cold hand on my shoulder. I turned to find Jennifer, or at least her ghostly apparition, staring at me with sorrowful eyes. "Why?" she whispered, her voice echoing the pain I felt every day. "For us," I replied, tears streaming down my face. "For you." Jennifer shook her head, her ethereal form shimmering in the dim light. "This isn't us, Lisa. This isn't the way." But I was too far gone. The line between Lisa and Jennifer, right and wrong, love and hate, had vanished. All that remained was the darkness, the void left by that fateful day. The police finally caught up with me after my most heinous act. I had kidnapped my own mother, subjecting her to the same torment of electrical shocks. As I watched her writhe in pain, I confessed that I had harbored this dark desire ever since she coldly admitted her preference for Jennifer. Just as I was about to deliver the final fatal shock, the police stormed in, arresting me. In that moment, I realized the painful truth. I had truly become a monster, a shadow of the girl I once was. The world would never see Lisa again. She was lost, buried beneath layers of pain, anger, and madness. Locked away in a cell, I often hear Jennifer's voice, soft whisper in the dark, reminding me of who I once was, of the love we shared. But it's too late. The world may remember me as the twin terror, but deep down, I'll always be Lisa, the girl who lost everything.